Well, that's actually something to think about too.
All right, so
All
we're
right, so we are
live.
live.
I'm going to do an audio check real quick just to see if they can hear us talking. Okay, so that is, fix this. We have a nice echo. That should get rid of the echo. Check for echo. Check 1, 2. There it is. All right, so we have good audio. Echo. There it is. All right, so we have good audio. All right, everybody. So we are going to be doing a demonstration of some defenses, what is defenses and what are not defenses. And tonight we have Dave Bensinger and Blaine Lee, who are both division reps. They will be showing you some ideas of what is a defense and what is not a defense. If you guys have any questions or want to see anything specific, please comment, and then we will try to address it. And we'll go from there. And you guys can start whatever you want with any type of common defense, any type of thing like that.
You want to start with the obvious?
Okay. I'll start with the most obvious defense there is. You have this shot, you don't like it, 1 ball's up here, 2 balls down there. You don't want to take a shot and leave your opponent's shot. You know you're not going to get position for your 2 ball. You pick the cue ball up and hand it to your opponent. That's a defense. There was no intent to pocket the ball because you didn't shoot. It's the most obvious defense there is.
Sorry, Dave's a little bit blacked out there. When you talk, back up a little bit.
Okay.
And the camera is within the table.
So go on the other side of it.
Yeah, go. That's even better.
Okay.
So Dave picked up the cue ball.
You want me to do that again?
Yeah, do it one more time.
This I'm playing 9 ball, cue ball here, 1 here, 2 is down here. You know you can get a good hit on 1, but you're afraid you're going to leave your opponent a shot on it. Or if you go and make it 1, you know you're not going to be able to get down the table to get a shot on the 2. You don't want to take the chance. You want to force your opponent to go and do that. So you pick up the cue ball, hand it to your opponent. It's a defense because there's no intent to pocket the ball. That's the most obvious defense there is in the book. It all falls back to intent.
A lot of people are not aware that that is a defense.
That's why we start with that one being the most obvious defensive shot.
What else do you got?
Well, I guess we can throw over that some, and let's say Dave chooses to play defense and he hands me the ball. Well, I can play defense in return and hand it back to him. A lot of people don't know that you can do that, but that is an option. But it's still a defense.
And then we'll go back again, and I don't want to do it yet. I'll give it back to Blaine. Now, it's another defense, but since we both had a chance of ball in hand, and we opted not to take the shot, now it's a re-rack because it's a stalemate for that game. Each person has to have chance of ball in hand 1 time.
That's a very good point.
I didn't have the initial time. Blaine had it when I handed it to him. I had it when he handed it back. I give it back to him, and that's where it becomes a draw. There's a lot of people that say, well, how many times do you have to go back and forth before it's a draw? Right there, that's how many times. Each player needs a ball in hand 1 time.
A lot of people are not aware of how the stalemate actually works. The stalemate, the best way to describe it is when neither player will accept ball in hand.
Correct.
All right. Well, I guess now we'll get down to what seems to be the most confusing part: intent. So, I get into this a lot, especially with even my own, lower ranked players. Well, I'm not as good. I'm just trying to hit the ball so I don't give ball in hand. Okay. Well, is your intent to hit your ball and hopefully pocket it? Or is your intent just to hit the ball so that you don't give your opponent ball in hand? If you are playing it with intent and speed to make it, it is not a defense. If you go up and you hit it just hard enough to contact it, but not for it to go anywhere, that is defense. You are no longer playing offense.
We are go.
Okay, so we're gonna explain some of that to you, show you a couple situations, and if we got some people in there, we'd actually like to hear your opinion on the shot before we actually tell you what the intent was or was not. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to the people keeping score if the opponent or the shot taker does not call a defense. Again, it comes down to your discretion and understanding of what is defense and what is not. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to attempt to hit my ball, and you guys judge if it was defense or not. What do you
Yep.
think?
Well, that was very obvious.
Do we have any comments on this? Somebody comment on this shot. Was this a defense or not? We have about 18 viewers right now. Somebody should comment. It's about time we get good-looking guys on here, by the way. Erica Elizabeth said defense. Kayla Hinkle said defense, and Trey Felix agrees that that is a defense.
There were two reasons why that was defense. One, more obvious one, because of how soft he shot it. He made good hit. He left me a shot, but he didn't hit hard enough to make it. The other thing that made it defense, if you can see there, the way these were sitting, he was never gonna cut that inside of the corner pocket because the 7 sitting right up on the 1. There's no way it could have went there. That makes it a defense also then.
This is a controversial shot. Does everybody understand it? A lot of people feel that because they're not purposely trying to hide the cue ball or anything, it is not marked as a defense. But for APA rules, that is a defense.
Correct. And the biggest thing on that is let's take the 7 out of the equation for it being locked. Okay? Anyone of any skill level, if they're coming up and just hitting it just hard enough to come over and make contact, it's defense. It had absolutely no chance to make it to the pocket. Regardless of skill, you know it takes how much force to go over, contact the ball, and make it to a pocket.
Right.
Not saying you can't underhit a ball. I do it all the time myself. But I play honest on that shot where someone else may not. Dave can come up, mishit that. I may think it's a defense.
Can you show them what a proper hit looks like?
Sure.
The exact same shot, but when it's not a defense.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with the same shot we did before. This is lock on here. It does not have a chance to go here without some help. Okay, but this is the difference between a defense and attempt to make. I hit it hard enough that in a situation where maybe I only needed 1 ball, I was hoping to make contact with my ball and hoping maybe to throw that 7 somewhere. Not saying you can't play defense off of that shot. It's technically a two-way. But in many cases, especially for lower skilled shooters that may not know that you couldn't pocket it here, that showed intent, and in my eyes, was intent to hit the ball and pocket a ball. That is the biggest thing. Intent was the term.
The first one was shot soft. There was no way it was going to go into a pocket. The second one was shot hard enough that if it was able to go into the pocket, it would have. Because of how hard I hit it. So we'll go and do the same shot again, but we'll separate the 1 and the 7 where he can go and make it in the pocket.
And the 9 ball almost went in the process of that previous shot.
Correct.
Yeah, that clearly is not a defense.
Right, because he pocketed the ball. He hit it hard enough to make it. But in this layout, he defensed himself because of where the 2's sitting. All the way down here.
What if he's a honest player, says I'm going to play a defense, and he pockets the 1 ball?
It's still defense. Because the intent is defense. The intent is not to pocket the ball. That's happened to me many times. I'm sure it's happened to you too.
I do it more often than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
Now this does bring us up to another good situation. I think this will clarify a lot with, I know some of my Lesterfield players on my team and that stuff. Let's say they made that 1 ball, right? Now they're on the 2 ball. This comes up with another very good scenario as to what is defense, what is not. You want to try to explain some situations, sir?
Well,
do a shot
In
and
this shot,
vote it. It's
not really easy. The only real way I see is to come up here, top rail, come down and kick at it. Now, when you're kicking at it, you can hit it over on this side to make it over here. You can catch a little fuller and drive it down here. So, are you intending to go make it here? Are you intending to make it here, which is possible? Or are you intending just to get a good hit on it? That makes the difference. A lower ranked player is going to have a harder time hitting it here to get it here because it's a really tight shot coming up between here and the 9. Might even actually be easier to try and get over here if that's possible. I can't tell you here. But it's not an easy shot. I don't think I can get it.
Well,
I'm
here,
going
let's
to try to get it from here. I'm going to put a little bit of right on it. Nope. Okay, now, with that shot though, what was I intending to do, even though I made a bad hit? What, if I made a bad hit, was it still trying to pocket it? Or was it just trying to get a good hit and go defense? That's the judgment call that the scorekeeper has. That can go either way.
On it, yes, on that can go either way. That
Okay.
is correct.
Because especially where that position is, it is very hard to tell, was he just trying to hit it, or was he intending to make it somewhere? Now, I had a little different idea on this one. So, for a lower skill level, obviously, taking it anyway, as long as you're hitting it hard enough, not that you're trying to thin it and just get it to hit it and then a ball hit a rail, that's an obvious defense. But let's say, you know, I'm trying to come up here and I'm like, okay, you know, regardless of skill level, and I come up here and I'm looking to do it this way. In this case, I can't make it there. I have a very slim chance of making it there. But those are really my only options coming from the long rail. So, being a higher skill level, well, yeah, even the other long rail, it really doesn't matter, even the long rail.
It's low odds.
Yeah, but still, even if I came up here and I played it like that, right? A higher skill level knows that at that speed, there was no chance of me making it in the pocket. The 5 ball was blocked there. The 9 ball blocked it there. That was a defense. There was no way that I was going to hit it hard enough to do so. Now, let's say I played the same shot again, but I crushed it. Well, at that point, I'm hoping to hit the ball and make a ball somewhere. That's a totally different scenario. Same outcome. It is a low possibility of a shot, but I made intent to hit my ball and then pocket something. Again, intent is the key word in this whole thing.
What I'm finding is a lot of scorekeepers are not paying attention.
Right.
And they're missing a lot of defenses because they're not watching close enough. Can you show us a couple of examples that are defenses but are not real obvious? Like as we showed earlier, like if you're not paying attention and you see the guy hit the ball, he may very well have been trying for the ball, or he may not.
Okay.
But
Here's
what-
one. That too can be cut in the corner here. But I'm going to play defense on it, even though it's going to look like it's going to get close. But what I'm going to be doing is separating the cue ball and the 2 ball to make it harder for my opponent. So, just going to go like this. And there was a really good defense. I
How-
would have preferred it down table, but I didn't quite hit it right. But I still got a good lead on that shot.
And that's a really good example, because I will see scorekeepers that are not paying 100% attention, and they will just assume the guy missed that bad. But you have to really look at it and see if the person tried or not.
Right, and then there's another thing that comes into play: skill levels of the players. Lower skill level player, which I have some on my team, that 2 ball, they would have went for that 99 out of 100 times, and hope they have a shot on the 3.
it's almost trickier with a low level player
Yes.
because you're going to assume they're going to go for it all the
Yes.
time. But I witnessed a shot last night. It was a very similar shot, and the guy was definitely not trying for the ball, and he was a 3.
Well, there are some lower skill level players that do have the knowledge for defense because they were taught properly what is defense and what is not, when to play it and when not to play it.
So just to clarify, going back to kick shots, Dustin Moss asked if kick shots are defenses with a question mark. Not always.
Are you trying to pocket it or not?
It depends if you hit the ball hard enough to get to a pocket. No, it is not. But if it's not going to get anywhere, then it is not. Then you have to. Then the person was not trying to pocket the ball.
Like this. Okay. Okay, there I really didn't hit it good, but I hit it hard enough that would have went if I hit it right, and that was a kick. We'll just try it again. Okay, that is not defense. I hit it hard enough to make it.
Even like with your first attempt, if it is hit hard enough, not necessarily correct, but hit hard enough that it has a chance to go in that pocket nearby, it comes down to the discretion of the player, but it's intent. You
Right.
showed intent to make it.
Now, I'm going to go and kick at it again. There's 2 different ways I can kick at it. Kick in here to push the cue ball, or the 2 up here, or I can kick more behind it and get the cue ball to come up here and the 2 to come down this way. Those are defense also.
So
the first one, I try and put the 2 on the top rail. Okay, that was defense. Because I tried to drive it to the top rail and not get a good shot with the kick. And I'll go the other way. And no, I won't. Kick shots are not as easy as they look. Okay, there I got the cue ball up to the top rail, like I wanted to do. That was a defense also. Even though the 2 came this way, there was no way it was going to go anywhere.
So Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who is watching from the grave, said, doesn't the intent go to the shooter? Yes, it's all about, does the shooter intend to pocket the ball? And it's really helpful when the shooter says whether they're intending to pocket a ball. And Dustin says, doesn't the book say defense is considered any time a ball isn't obviously trying to be pocketed? That'd line up with speed on kick shots mattering, like you just said.
Right.
I personally would say that speed is the key.
Now, there is a gray area, and I think this is where a lot of the lower skilled shooters are making a valid argument. Using the examples he just did here, if I have a 2 or 3 or 1, anyone really below 4 trying to attempt a kick at that ball, if they're hitting it hard enough, unless it's blatantly obvious, I'm going to say that's not a defense. Now, having said that, someone, Dave or myself, skill level, kicking and missing it like that, like the last shot, sending the 2 over here, it's pretty obvious that more than likely it was defense. Again, it is the gray area with intent. You can manipulate that with speed in that as well. I could sit here and play this 2 ball. Let's say I can't make the 2 ball there, right? So I can't make it, right? Can't make it there, can't make it here, okay? I can play a defense, and I even lost that one, right? So I can't make it there. But if I'm going like this, sure, I hit it hard, but where was it going? There was no real intent, and let's say that one was that was blocked down there as well, right? There was no real intent. The only way I can intend to do that is to force it the Z shot or try to kick it back here and hopefully pocket something.
Yep.
Again, it goes by skill level.
And because defense is kind of by opinion, even though you did miss the 2, it appeared you were going for the side. see where the cue ball is relative to the 3. Actually, he is on the 3. So you, as a scorekeeper, can actually consider that was a good shot. Now, if the 3 was all the way up at the other end of the table, if you could do the shot again, put the 3 up on the rail and leave. If the cue ball is left where it is.
Yeah, so, I mean.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Similar thing. You know, I'm let's say I'm on the 2, and I do this. Or even, you know, let's say the cue gets back here.
That is a very good example. Even where the cue ball stopped, and still a lot of scorekeepers will think that you tried for that ball because you were somewhat close to a pocket, and they won't. The fact that they won't consider is where the cue ball is left in relation to the next shot. Had you actually made that ball, you would have no shot on the 3. Now take that exact same shot and attempt it and show them where the cue ball would be left if you were actually trying it.
Hit it hard enough, but I was attempting to get back down table.
Yes, and even if
at least down in
even if he had missed, you could see that he tried to bring the cue ball somewhere other so where he would have a shot. Decimal says sounds kind of opinionated along with a lot of people scorekeeping, not knowing what you are explaining now. Captain meaning could use explanation if it hasn't been done before. I like it. So, well, that's the whole point of our discussion.
Dustin is a higher skill player.
Yeah,
Dustin is a 7-9.
So he should have a very good understanding of defense. So what helps there is to educate your teammates, especially the scorekeepers, on what's defense and what isn't.
So Shallon says that's why it's imperative that as the shooter, you make everyone aware whether you are trying to make it or just hit it. Well, that's true, but we're talking about scenarios where the shooter does not do that. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, I'm not quite sure who that actually is.
Past president.
Well, thank you for the obvious answer there, Dave. Can the scorekeeper override the shooter? Absolutely. It is the scorekeeper's opinion. Even if the shooter is actually going for the shot and the scorekeeper determines that it's a defense, if that happens once in a while, it's not going to hurt the person's skill level. It's when these defenses are missed repeatedly that it creates a problem.
Right. But there's going to be situations, and teams run up against them. You get a player on the other team that doesn't have a good shot anywhere, gets up and whacks it, hoping something's going to go somewhere. Now they hit it hard enough to make something, but after the shot and all the balls stopped, and they saw they didn't leave their opponent with a good shot, oh, defense.
We are going to have better camera angles for the next video, so we can see you guys. Yeah, I mean, we see you when you're talking and you're presenting well, but all we see is the table and the logo.
You want to do another voter? shot?
Does anybody have any they want to see? So I can mark a defense at my discretion whenever I feel like it. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
If
not
you-
to
if
say
you're
that
not sure as a scorekeeper, the thing to do is
ask.
yourself. If you don't want to ask the shooter, ask yourself: did they have any intent to pocket that ball?
And furthermore, we get complaints of sandbagging. And if somebody is sandbagging, they are not going to tell you that they missed that ball.
No.
So that's where it's extremely important that you just go ahead and you mark that defense. If you, in your heart of hearts, feel that person absolutely did not try to make the ball, like let's say that you have a shooter and we're talking 8 ball. The guy's maybe a skill level 5 or 6 up against maybe a skill level 3. And he runs 5 or 6 balls off, and then all of a sudden is banking the 8 ball or doesn't want to make the last ball. Those are all defenses, and that shooter is not going to call those because he's trying to run his innings up.
Right.
And
that's the scorekeeper. It's your responsibility to mark those as defense, because if you don't mark them as defense, they're trying to run their innings up, which is sandbagging. You're helping them by doing that then.
and defenses do not necessarily cancel out innings, but they definitely go against that type of situation for scorekeeping purposes. Dave is also a former league operator, and he knows a lot of stuff that him or I cannot tell you, but
Correct.
we will do our best to answer any questions as to that type of thing. Anybody have any other questions? We're going to move on to another defense in the meantime. Go ahead. As they come up, I will stop you.
All right. So we're gonna have a little vote on whether this is considered defense or not. I'm on the 3 ball.
That being said, where do you guys weigh in? Was that a safety or not? Do you mark that as a defense or not? There is a bit of a lag, so we have to wait a minute. Kayla called that a defense. Nick Hensley called that a defense. Anybody else? Richard Seville called that a defense. Okay, so here is where it's objectionable. I saw him hit it hard enough where the 4 ball could have went. So I myself would not have called that a defense.
That actually could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I think it was a defense. Right. It could have been called offensive because the 4 was going towards the side pocket.
So
Or I think also because of being a defense, the 3 or the 4 did not hit a rail on that side of the table where he was starting to shoot it towards. I think he was just going for a good hit.
So
I would mark that defense.
Yeah, this comes down. The reason I did this was because this really comes down to the skill level of the shooter shooting it, and it comes down to what the scorekeeper thought. In this case, I played it with no intent to make a ball, so it technically was defense. Now, having said that, I know at my skill level that I'd have to play it much harder than that for them to stand a chance. Dave pointed out a very good thing. Any ball that was even coming towards the pocket was not played hard enough to pocket the ball. But if I have a 4 come up and do that, there's a very good chance that maybe they were trying to make that ball. It's one of those gray areas, and that's where it comes down to the opinion of the scorekeepers. What Dave may think is a defense, I may not think. Just because his paperwork's not going to match my paperwork doesn't mean that one's right or one's wrong. The only person that truly knew the intent on that was me. And unless I called defense before I play it, it's all discretion. There was no intent in my mind of me making a ball. I was going for a good hit, not to get ball in hand, and to leave the 3 top. Having said that, a lower skilled shooter may have been attempting to make the 4 ball. Or even send in the 7 somewhere. Could have played a little harder. Does not matter. At that point, it comes down to the gray area showing intent. Did the scorekeeper feel as though that the shooter was trying to pocket a ball?
And that adds another thing in there, looking at the skill level of the shooter. The higher skill level players are going to know a lot more how and when to play defense, where the lower skill have the mindset of being aggressive and going for most of the shots.
okay, so we've been on this defense for a little while now, and almost everyone that commented got it right. Everyone said it was a defense.
Is there something someone wants to see in particular?
Dustin said, when in doubt, vote defense, which is true.
I agree.
And the more that you guys get in tune with this type of scorekeeping, the better your skill levels will be.
Right.
A lot of people they call us and they're like, oh, somebody shouldn't be this, somebody shouldn't be that. If you guys are keeping a good score, it'll be pretty accurate. A lot more accurate than you think. Let's move on to another type of defense. Do you have anything else in mind? Mom and I say, hey, what? Let's show one more example of where somebody does not intend to pocket a ball where it looks like they do.
Okay, that didn't quite work right. What I wanted the cue ball back here. I easily could have made that shot and it got close to making it. But I intended to put the cue ball back here, not to give him a shot. So that is defense. You could look at it and say, okay, he has a shot on the 4. It's a low percentage shot because of the angle. Very hard to make it there. Not a good angle to make it there. It is makeable there more so than here.
Mom and I
We're
say,
looking
hey,
for
what?
intent to bring it around, hide it, so he did not have the shot.
So we're not trying to insult low skill level players
No.
here.
No. But,
Which does happen. I've insulted them plenty of times myself. The thing about low skill level players is they'll just play the game a little bit differently than the higher skill level
And
players.
that's where it's up to the high skill level players to teach the lower skill level players
Honestly,
how to play English, or excuse me, how to play defense, the proper way to play defense. I teach my players that way. So I have a 3, comes up to the table, plays a good defense, throws off their opponent because they didn't expect anything like that because they were a 3. Well, advantage me.
I would argue that it's trickier because there is 3s and 4s that can play at this level. And if you mark extra defenses on a 6 or a 7, it is not going to make a difference. If they don't mark it, enough defenses marked on them. But if you're missing defenses on your 3s and 4s, like if your whole division is poorly scorekeeping and you got that 3 that is hiding it, they might very well get away with it. Ray says, I'm a 7 and I would have considered that a two-way shot, which is by far the hardest to determine if it's defense or not. That is 100.
Shot I just did.
That yes, that is.
That could have been looked at as a 2-way shot, but my intent the whole way, and I would have called it that. It was an intent for a defense. I did not try to make the 3. I tried to hide it behind the 4 and the 7.
Two-way shots are really tricky because, like, you could play a two-way shot and think you want to make the ball, and for insurance, if you don't make the ball, your opponent won't have a shot. On the other hand, you might want to play a two-way shot where if that ball goes, you're going to feel you're lucky, and then you could continue on. That is more of a defense, in my opinion.
You could try a 2-way shot, or if I make the ball, I have a shot. If I don't make it, they're not going to have the shot. Like he could try here, get over here, get down to the 4. He may have mishit hit it into the rail, get the cue ball down here yet, and have a shot on the floor where he gets it down in here because he wants
Dave,
to
we
go
lost
there.
our camera. Hang on. Our camera got real wonky. Give me a second. Okay, we're back.
Okay, I'll start over. So he has this shot. We're looking at a 2-way shot here. He can go make that and get the cue ball out to get down to the 4, and then with the 5 here to come back up. But if he goes and misses it, brings the cue ball down there yet, but he didn't give his opponent a shot. So he could go and hit the 3 into here, cue ball into here, and back down and around for the 2 rails, have the shot in the 4, but miss the 3. That's the 2-way because he was intending to pocket, but if he missed, he still had his next shot. Now, if he took a shot and left the cue ball in here, he doesn't have his next shot, other than a kick at it. So that wouldn't be considered a 2-way.
I think the real key is to see where the cue ball was left.
And again, it comes down to, knowing, the skill level of the player. I could have, for instance, one of my lower skill levels come up and just try to pocket the 3, and miss it. But I can promise you this much. If my 4 or higher is doing that, I'm marking a defense. Because they know that if they would have pocketed that 3, they would have had a kick out to make the 4. We'll lose the camera again.
No, we're good.
Okay. So it really comes down to the discretion of the player. Now, let's say a 1 or 2 or 3 or is having a good day, and they're making balls, and they come up, and let's say it hits the rail, right? But I missed the shot. Now, if they were making balls all day, but not leaving themselves anything, I may not consider that a defense. I may be like, okay, that was just, a lower skilled shooter, missed their shot. I miss those shots. More than I'd like to admit. But we all miss them. But if you're playing an opponent that is shooting really well and plays a shot like that after leaving themselves good all game and seemingly knowing how to run the table or run the ball around the table, at least to see their ball regardless of skill level, that would change my decision on that shot. It really comes down to intent.
I 100% agree on that. And I've already shot matches where I'm shooting quite well and pocketing a bunch of balls, and then I miss a duck.
Oh yeah, I do it.
And I said to the scorekeeper, I said, "Did you mark that as a defense?" And the scorekeeper's response was no. And I said, "Well, honestly, I think you should. I did try to make that ball, but in my opinion, if I was scorekeeping, I would have marked that as a defense because I just showed that I'm capable of making a lot of shots, and then when you miss an easy one like that, that's your opinion."
Right.
Kenny Magana said to just ask the shooter, and that's what I do a lot of times. I just ask the shooter.
Right, but again, this also comes down to trying to get more consistent and marking proper defense because of sandbagging. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not if Dave and I are scorekeeping and we're watching, our players shoot, and Dave has a 2 that's coming up and, has been getting pretty good position on similar shots like that all day, and then comes up and does something like that, I'm going to mark it a defense. He may not, because he may know, what, sometimes my player misses that shot.
I know how my player shoots.
Correct.
I would argue the bigger problem is that people are not paying attention much more often than we have people trying to sandbag.
Oh, yeah.
There is a small percentage in the league that does try to sandbag. We all know, and a lot of us actually know who they are. The bigger problem is, and we see this many times at Tri-Cup, we'll see defenses played constantly that are not marked because the shooter just does not pay enough attention to catch it.
Scorekeeper.
The scorekeeper, I apologize.
Right.
The
There's
easy,
some times that I was at matches and I take a shot. Most of my defense are very obvious.
So Ray commented the easiest shot is the hardest shot after making a run and after a difficult shot because your adrenaline is up and you overthink the easy shot. That is 100% correct.
Yeah.
So that is again where it is the scorekeeper's discretion.
Easy shots are going to make or break your game.
I missed
The hard ones are not because
And-
you're not supposed to make them anyway.
If you see the shooter rush the shot, that's a good example that they didn't do it on purpose because nobody rushes. But if they, if they do, if they're in the same rhythm as everything else, and then they miss that ball by a lot.
Okay.
Back to where you said about with the scorekeepers not paying attention. I've played in matches and I do a defense and my team marks it down and I don't have to say it. I'm looking at the other team. They're all over there talking and having fun, which is good, but nobody's paying attention to the match. I'm saying defense, 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 and they're still not marking it because they're not even listening to what I'm saying. They're talking amongst themselves there. Somebody that's keeping score should be at least paying half attention to what's going on with the match, listening to what the players are saying.
All right, so we've been on for a good little while. We've talked a lot about this defense shot. Do you have anything else you want to do in this for today?
Do you want to go over the whole push?
I would like to go over what a close hit properly looks like because this is a very confusing shot. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit. We talked a lot about defenses today, and this is our first video. And hopefully these guys will come up. We'll make a couple more. And the camera angles will be a whole lot better, I promise.
And while we're doing this, if anybody thinks of any scenarios for defensive shots, we can go and set them up.
But right now we are going to do a two-way, not a two-way shot. We're going to do a close hit foul.
A double hit.
A double hit foul. And many people do not know what what a double hit foul looks like.
Do you want to use the 9-ball and do it the long way so the camera can catch it easier?
Okay, the 9-ball is a cue ball because it has a strike ball.
Yeah, go
Do
to.
the
Well,
ball- yeah,
I'll tell
do
you
the
what,
ball.
let's go with the darker one, so it shows up on one.
But
So,
go,
as you
Dave,
can
go.
see,
Yeah.
they're close together.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
Don't shoot that way, Dave,
Yeah,
because
take the
the
shot.
4 is hidden.
Okay. close together like that. Now that wasn't a good.
Was that a good? Now wait, before you shoot again, was that a good hit or not?
You're asking me, yes.
Yes, that was
it,
that
because
was
that cue
that-
ball did not go anywhere.
and so you inadvertently just showed how the shot is done properly.
Yes, I did.
So that is what the shot looks like when it's done right.
Now,
Now
if
David's
we
going to
do it the
attempt to
wrong
do it
way-
wrong, which is not the easiest thing to do.
I have a hard time doing that.
Just give it heck, Dave. Just follow through like a shooter would. Right on through there. There you go. When the cue ball follows the object ball like that, that is a foul. The whole reason, if I can explain this.
Okay.
So I had to show this recently to somebody, and they were struggling a little bit to understand this shot. What causes this foul right here is I'm going to shoot the ball the same way a couple times here. So, and I can do it with the cue ball. If you shoot down at this angle, like you're going to normally make the shot, and the ball is far enough apart, the cue ball will stop because all the energy is transferred into the object ball. So remember, I'm going to put energy into the cue ball, which is going to transfer all of its energy into the object ball. So I transferred all the energy into the object ball. When you are this close, what happens if you shoot it like this? Again, let me show you one more time. All the energy gets transferred into the object ball. It's all gone. There's no energy in the cue ball. So the only way that the cue ball will move again is if you put energy back into it. So basically, it's just like doing this. You shoot it, stop, and then if you hit it again. That's what happens in the process, except it happens in one stroke. So I'll demonstrate that one more time. I don't belabor this point here. This is what has to happen. You have to hit the ball gets hit, cue ball stops, and you hit it again. Okay, did you see how I had to hit that ball again? No, let me do it this time. So now they are this far apart. The exact same thing happens. I'm going to use the exact same stroke. The cue ball is going to hit the 10 ball. It's going to transfer all its energy to the 10 ball. And I'm going to re-put energy back into the cue ball again. And that's what's going to make it go by hitting it twice. So it's going to come down. It's going to bounce off, come back, and hit the cue again. And that's what causes this to happen. You can't see it. But that is what is happening. Do you guys have any comment on that?
I could hear the double click. When you're shooting at league night in the pool hall, music, everybody talking, you're never going to hear the double click. But it is there. If it's quiet like this and you hit a double click, that is that giveaway. It's a double hit.
If you shoot it right, that cue ball cannot go anywhere because all the energy is gone from it. If you guys have a better way of showing that.
Now, I do hear this a lot on shots like that. And they said that APA did away with the push.
Oh, that's it.
So
Okay,
you're going to bring up that?
that's a good point. Okay, a push is when they are frozen.
Right.
This is a push through shot, and this is a legal shot. Now they're frozen. There's absolutely no space in there. It's the exact same shot. Cue ball, the cue still only strikes the cue ball once because it's frozen. It did not hit the other ball, transfer all of its energy into it, and then stop. Now they both have the same amount of energy because they're connected. It's essentially like hitting one ball.
Right. Because when you hit with space between the balls, you're going to hear a click of the cue ball hitting the object ball. When they were together like that and he did that shot, there was no click because they didn't have to make contact because they were already had contact.
For this shot to be done properly, we'll see if I can do it. You have to shoot down on it a little bit, and it'll stop, just like that. See how that cue ball stopped because I did not hit it twice.
Or you don't even have to hit down on it if you have control of the draw. But that cue ball still came back. It was still a good shot, and there was no double hit.
Yes, it did not move. And like when people are tri-cup, and I had a shooter, when I'm called in to watch this shot, I will say to the shooter, I will be like, you have to either you have to shoot the ball on an angle, where the cue ball is on an angle and it goes off to the side. Do it.
And I'm just showing what the way.
Do it. Or it goes off to the side like that. Or the cue ball has to stop. I tell the shooters that that cue ball follows the object ball at all. That is a foul because you've hit it twice. That's a good hit. Now, even if you hit it, have it work just follows it a little bit. So put it real close. And even if it comes up to this far, it's still a foul. That was a good hit. So Dave has trouble hitting the
I
small.
do.
And then we'll take your comments on
I'm
that shot.
trying to do this the way.
That's the foul.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of shooters are not taught how to properly shoot that shot.
If the cue ball all but beats the object ball to a rail,
That's
it's a double hit.
all right.
We'll quick look at it, and then I got something run poll wise with that.
All right. On higher level shooter, I won't have. Let me see if I could see more comments. Bear with me, guys. I'm catching up.
Yep.
I'm gonna say what you did. I'm a 7. I would consider two-way shot. Applying to Ray Mitchell as a shooter. Blah 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 blah. The easiest shot is the hardest. Okay, that's where we were. All right. So that didn't. Do you have to announce it's frozen first? I would.
It's a cue ball on the object
You have
ball
to cube on the object ball or
If the cue ball
frozen.
and the object ball though are even just the tiniest bit apart, you got to take an angle shot.
Yes, but if they're frozen,
Only-
somebody asked if they're frozen. If you have to announce it, I would.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you would announce the ball being frozen on the rail before playing a defense with it.
Kenny says you should shoot an example of where one is frozen to the rail.
For defense purposes or just a legal hit? Well, I guess it's
No, so if a cue ball is frozen to if an object ball is frozen to the rail, and the cue ball hits it. Let's see if we have a good angle of that. Do that over here. Put the 4 ball on over here. So if this ball is frozen to the rail, and the cue ball hits the rail first and then hits the 4 ball and nothing else hits the rail, that is a foul.
Correct.
So we're talking something like this.
That was pretty close to tell.
Okay.
That did hit the rail first.
Did it hit the rail first?
Yes, it did.
If it hits the rail first and then it hits the object ball, that's a foul.
Correct.
Now, if it hits the object ball first and hits the rail, that's a good hit. That is a good hit.
Correct. The
Now,
reason for that, when you call a frozen ball, this ball is frozen to this rail. This ball would have to get driven to another rail other than
Cue
this
ball
one,
would have to touch.
or this rail is available as a good hit for any other ball other than the 4. Cue ball can hit it, that's a good shot. You hit it this way, that 4 is going to have to hit there and then come here.
show an example. Hit the rail first and then drive the cue ball or the object ball to the rail. Hit the rail first. Now, he almost made it, but that was a legal hit.
Right. Because the cue ball hit this rail.
Kenny, I hope that answers your question. Shelly says, so when my 3 goes up and whacks the whole pile of balls because they are annoying and hopes. something goes in because it's APA,
That's offense.
it's a good hit.
Yeah. Your
That is
intent,
offense.
Your intent showed that you were trying to pocket the ball.
By how hard it was hit.
Correct.
Even though there's more hope than intent.
Correct. But it still was hit harder.
Yes, that is offense. If your 3 is annoyed. If your 7's annoyed, it goes up and whacks the pile of balls. I've been in tournaments already where I've been
I've never done that myself.
so mad. Does anybody have anything else?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think it was Grant had said something about a scenario about like 3 rails. So this had a little bit of controversy, even with Kayla on skill and what have you. Try to set this up. Okay, so as you can see, it is extremely hard to hit the 2, right? This is where it's going to come down to intent, okay? So instead of blocking, let's just pretend it is super impossible for me to go 1 rail without adding English. I'm your everyday shooter, okay? And I just come up to the table, right? And I play something like that, right? Let's pretend I got through here, but at that speed, right? Would you consider that a defense?
I would say by our standard, that's a defense because you did not hit the 2 ball hard enough to get to the pocket.
Correct. Yeah, the cue ball came in way too soft. Now, if my 3 goes up and does that, they just may not have known that they had to hit it harder. Having said that, let's say we go up here and we hit it hard. Now I didn't make contact with it, but was that a defense?
No.
Correct.
I would
Because
say
I showed intent to transfer enough energy to get to the 2 ball and possibly pocket it somewhere.
Because of the speed that you hit it.
Right.
Tanya says she would say different to Shelly because they're annoyed and have to just hit that and have no idea, no intent of making a ball. That's how if I understand her.
Okay, so let me see if this clarifies for her.
But here it comes down to the scorekeeper again.
Okay, so I guess this is a question, or this is a question for them. Okay, I'm getting annoyed. I come up here. It's actually a very good example of that. I played that hard enough that when I smacked it, something could go in. Whether I intended it to go in or not, at that point, I had enough force into it for it to make something. Now let's pretend that didn't go. Would you consider that a defense?
Absolutely not.
No, because this one got close to going, that one got close to going.
Yeah,
You hit it hard enough to make the ball.
even if I didn't intend to truly make a ball, I hit it hard enough that it could have fell in. Now, I get a cluster again, right? I'm on the 2 ball. I don't know what to do. Okay, I come up here, regardless of skill, and I go like that.
That's defense.
There's no intent whatsoever. I could care less. I don't know what's going to happen.
Furthermore, if that ball was frozen, that would be a foul.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And now if the opponent did not declare that was frozen, then that is no foul. So that's always good to do.
This one where a player gets up and really whacks it. And it's like those balls are going like 80 miles an hour.
Well, I'm executed.
Why would everybody call that shot?
Now keep in mind, I didn't go up there. I didn't try to line anything up. I went up and just smacked the balls.
See if we get any comment. We had a player. Did any of you know Brian Horst? Brian Horst was he was a good dude.
Shoot at always.
Yeah, he shot out always.
Yeah.
He was notorious for shooting so hard and slopping balls in. That's a good example of a player that. All right, so let's close this up. Anybody, you guys have any closing thoughts? Kenny said that's an offense. Eric Elizabeth said that's an offense. Hidden Hope is offense. They are saying that is an offense, which is what it is.
Correct. Yeah, regardless of if I know something's going to go in or not, I hit it hard enough to hope something went in somewhere. I had no clue where those balls exactly were going to go. Now, I had ideas that some of them might come down and hit some of the others in, but I played it hard enough. The intent to pocket a ball was there, not the knowing I was going to pocket a ball here or there.
That's the one part where I have a little difficulty with that situation, because as the higher skill player, I'm looking to make a particular ball in a particular pocket. I'm not getting up there whacking them, hoping I get a ball in a pocket.
Right,
Just
but
because
you
I
would
hit
have-
hard.
But in that case, you would have taken your time and tried to figure out where you most likely were going to make something.
Right.
That's why I said
And-
I had
And then
no
I wouldn't
intent
have
of
found anything, so I would have went defense, trying to hide that cue ball
Right.
from that
Yeah,
object.
not saying you can't play defense in a similar
Oh,
situation. Here, let's just throw those balls together. Let's pretend it's a 9-ball regardless of the balls and that, right? I mean, yeah, something like that. Okay. Now I can still break those up and get a defense playing hard. It goes by skill level.
Let's assume it's 8-ball. Would you mash that?
No, because who knows where the 8's going to go.
Yeah.
But
But if you're a 2 or 3, you might still mash it.
correct.
And Tanya, to answer your question, yes, that would be offense for any skill level. Shalon says, thank you for the demonstration and answering questions. So I'd like to actually say thanks at this time, too. We've been on for quite a while. I'd like to thank Blanley and Dave Bensinger. Guys have been great, and hopefully this will answer some questions for people. Maybe I can get them to do some more videos in the future, and if you guys have anything you would like us to see and demonstrate, please ask. All right, thank you, guys.
Yes, any input is good for anything you like to
Yeah,
see in the
especially if you
future.
comment on this link for the next time.
Right.
And as Alex always says, does anybody know when she closes our videos?
Oh man, I don't watch all of them. I'm sorry, Alex.